Hello there, this is Anarchist. This video is part 2 of an Anarchist Let's Play of Stardew Valley. I'll link to part 1 and the intro in the description. So we pick up where we left off on day 8 of spring. I pick the parsnips and potatoes that grew overnight and water the rest of the crops. Then I head into town to check the calendar for birthdays and festivals. Since I'm trying to befriend the townsfolks, bribing them with birthday gifts is very important. And since the Egg Festival is coming up on the 13th, it's very important that I make as many labor vouchers as possible before then to buy as many strawberries as I can. No, naturally, I ignore the calendar that I'm looking right at and assume the festival is on the 10th and hoard all of my wealth like a filthy capitalist. Anyways, there's a mission from Clint to gather up some copper ore, so I gather my mining gear and head to the mines. I managed to slay many slimes, enough to be inducted into the Adventurers Guild, and find some nice new boots and a chest. I made it to floor 15 and gathered the ores for the quest, so my job here is done. I exit the mines and head towards home. As I'm heading towards town, I come across George, who has just heard a commotion outside his house. I ask him if everything is okay, and he says that I showed up at the perfect time. He assumes the sound was raccoons getting into his trash and asks me to go scare them away. Planning to befriend the raccoons and go through people's trash cans with them instead, I tell George that yes, I will happily scare them away so that they never come back. When I go to investigate, however, I see that it is my friend Linus. He is apologetic, explaining that he finds a lot of hot fresh food in the trash cans and that it will go to waste if he doesn't take it. He asks if I think there is anything wrong with what he's doing. This is an anarchist playthrough, so of course I have no respect for private property and want everyone to be fed, so it's easy to answer, no, it's a shame for food to go to waste. I do like that the game gives you options here though, in case you want to roleplay as a heartless Karen, one of those liberal weirdos who love following the rules and reminding the teacher that they forgot to give them homework, or just an average boomer. In any case, I choose the obvious answer, as even though food waste would be much less of a problem in an anarchist commune than it is in modern capitalism, it would still be a problem, and Linus isn't hurting George or anyone else by taking things they threw away. He is thankful and sees eye to eye with me on the issue, but says he won't rummage in George's can anymore just to be safe. He says I can tell George I scared off the raccoons for good, which I would have done regardless. I wish Linus a good night and head home. As I'm heading off, Gus comes out of the saloon, seeing Linus going through his can. Linus expects the same reaction as from George, but Gus is a chill dude, explaining to Linus that he doesn't want anyone in Pelican Town to go hungry. He tells Linus that if he is hungry, he just needs to ask, and offers him a basket of zucchini fritters, reminding him to dip them in his spicy marinara. Seeing this interaction between the two warmed my heart and reminded me of why I left my old job and moved on to an anarchist commune. It also reminded me of my ore quest from earlier, as Clint often hangs out at the saloon in the evenings. I head inside to show him the ores, which he approves of and gives me a little pocket change for the trouble. I chat a little bit with the locals at the saloon and then head home to sleep. Shane is still a total asshole. Overnight, my farming and combat skills level up, giving me access to a few new useful items. On day 9, I wake up to a field full of parsnips ready to be picked. Since I mistakenly believe that the Egg Festival is tomorrow, I spend the rest of the day clearing the brush on the farm and smelting my copper ores. The sooner I have 5 copper bars, the sooner I can upgrade my watering can, which will save me a lot of time on watering. I go sell my crops to Pierre, yielding a respectable amount of labor vouchers that I should have bought more parsnips with, as I had time for one more harvest, but hindsight is 20/20. I go to the community center to donate some of the forage I found, but just find that same scroll written in that strange language. I remember the wizard's letter about helping with that, so I decide it's time to pay him a visit. I see that Abigail isn't standing guard, so the coast is clear. Upon my arrival, I'm met with a variety of strange sights and smells. Green smoke billows from a bubbling cauldron that is apparently fueled by just lighting the wooden floor on fire. A strange lectern, or maybe an altar, sits in the corner, surrounded by spotless marble tiles. A circle of candles and eldritch symbols take up half the floor, resembling some sort of satanic summoning circle. I've dated a few girls that were into crystals and tarot cards, but this guy is on another level. He looks like he is about to solve the lament configuration and summon some Cenobites for a good time. He introduced himself as Rasmodius, first of his name, seeker of the arcane truths, mediary between physical and ethereal, master of the 7 elementals, the breaker of chains, you get the point. He tells me that he foresaw my arrival and has such sights to show me. He goes to his summoning circle and in a flash of light rips one of the little green men I saw earlier from whatever dimension they come from. He tells me they are called Junimos. They are mysterious spirits that refuse to speak with him. With a snap of his fingers, Rasmodius banishes the Junimo back from whence it came. He's not sure why they have decided to move into the community center but says they are harmless. I tell him about the golden scroll in the strange language which piques his interest, and he says he's going to check it out and that he'll be back shortly. Vanishing in another flash of light, I'm left wondering what the fuck just happened. Before I can figure out where he went, he casually walks in the front door like that is a totally normal thing that happens. He ignores the questions written all over my face and tells me he saw the scroll and was able to decipher it thusly. We, the Junimo, are happy to aid you. In return, we ask for gifts of the valley. If you are one with the forest, then you will see the true nature of this scroll. Rasmodius ponders to himself what being one with the forest could refer to. Following his nose, he realized they must be referring to tripping balls on the magic mushrooms brewing in his cauldron. He tells me to drink up and let the essence of the forest permeate my body. I'm too old for this shit, I tell myself as I take an oblivion-seeking gulp of this stuff. Not again, I thought, as I began seeing a vision of the forest greener and more vivid than any I'd experienced. What was I thinking? I ask myself over and over and over as the vision becomes too overwhelming for my brain to handle and I pass out. When I awake, what feels like 3 days later, I find myself standing at the door to the wizard tower. Unsure if any of that really happened and unwilling to go back inside for answers, I flee from the tower, unable to look back due to an ominously lingering combination of fear and purpose. I run to the community center hoping it was all a dream. When I arrive, I'm almost positive I see one of the Junimos again, but it vanishes before my eyes. Inspecting the scroll, I find that I can read it now. This revelation both terrifies me but also reminds me about what the Junimos said. They said they would aid me in exchange for gifts of the valley. Perhaps if I leave them the things listed on the scroll, they can help me clean up and repair the community center. Figuring it's worth a try, I leave them some of my forageables that are on the list as tribute. That morning's tribulations had left me exhausted, but there was still plenty of time left in the day, so I decided to visit Marlin and make my induction into the Adventurers Guild official. I'm allowed into the guild hall, which was admittedly less impressive than I had imagined. Marlin ran an armory there, exchanging weapons and armor for labor vouchers. I browsed his wares as an improved sword would help me descend the mines faster, but decided that I would probably come across one in the mines sooner rather than later. Besides the weapons for sale, the guild also had a kill list of targets approved for assassination. The header of the list read, "Monster eradication goals, help us keep the valley safe," which sounded like a Pentagon directive from the George W. Bush era. There was also a surly old veteran in the corner rocking steadily back and forth in his chair. He didn't have much to say but told me to come back after I've achieved one of the aforementioned monster eradication goals. It was getting close to dinner time, so I decided to head back to the farm. On the way though, I found the last forageable item on the list from the community center, so I doubled back and decided to see what would happen if I completed it. When I placed the leek near the scroll, a bundle of 30 wild seeds magically appeared in front of me. Stranger still, more of the scrolls appeared on the ground. Strangest of all, the Junimos weren't hiding or playing tricks on me anymore, but were just walking around the community center in plain sight. I wasn't sure what they were up to, but the wizard's claim that they were not dangerous seemed to be true. I had had enough bad trips, kill lists, and magical beings for one day, so I headed home to sleep. Overnight, my farming skill leveled up again, which would thankfully make watering easier. On day 10, I woke to a very empty and very sad field. The rain added insult to injury, as it would have saved me the enormous amount of effort it takes to water the field and save time for mining or clearing the farm. At least my mom sent me my favorite cookies. Thanks, Mom, I love you. I figure the best way to salvage the day is to go fishing, so I head off towards the beach. I spend the whole day fishing, adding a few fish to the community center, making about 1,000 labor vouchers from selling fish to Willie, and leveling up my fishing skill. Day 11 starts on a much better note. I check the mail to find a letter from Robin, who has lost her axe and is offering a reward. I laugh at her misfortune and break out my axe to chop down a few trees and make some field snacks to fuel a mining run. On the way, I take another mission from Clint to find him more copper to inspect. I doubt the quality of sedentary rock has changed much in 3 days, but I'm happy to help him out in any case. I experience smooth sailing in the mines, making it to floor 20 and unlocking another elevator and a slightly better sword. A few floors later, I find yet another new weapon, this time a dagger. I'm not a fan of daggers in this game because you generally take a lot of damage when using them due to their low range. You basically have to stand right on top of enemies. I make it to floor 25 and figure that this was a good amount of progress in the mines for one day. I offer a crab to the Junimos, say hi to my friends at the saloon, and show the ores to Clint, which unsurprisingly passed his inspection. I head back home and chop down a few more trees despite Robin the axeless. When I turn in for the night, I see Kropotkin sleeping on the bed, so I cuddle up with him and hit the hay. On day 12, I decide to get the field ready for the strawberry harvest. I till the soil with the knowledge that some of it will untill itself overnight, but it will at least give me a bit of a head start. The day is still young, so I head back to the mines again. I have pretty good luck despite what the fortune teller predicted and find quite a few gems, ores, and geodes. I also kill enough parasitic insects to make Machno proud. Since it's Friday night, I decide it would be a good time to go to the saloon and socialize with the community. Leah espouses her eco-socialist beliefs, Lewis can somehow smell that I've been working on the community center and thanks me, and Shane is still being a prick. I see that the cool kids are playing pool in the back, so I go hang out with them instead of the lovebirds and alcoholics. I finally worked up the courage to talk to Abigail after last week's embarrassing encounter, and she mentions the egg hunt that is part of the festival tomorrow. I think we're both a bit old for something like that, but I commit to her that I will participate as well because I don't know what else to say. Feeling confident about how well our conversation is going, I give her an amethyst I found in the mine, and this time she is much more receptive. It's getting late and people are starting to shuffle out, so I take this as my cue and head home. I have a big day tomorrow and will need plenty of rest. Overnight, my mining skill levels up, giving me access to staircases which will come in handy later, as well as my combat skill which gives me the crafting recipe for life elixir, which I will never use because cheese is a much better and easier to attain healing item. I awaken on the 13th of spring, the most important day of my farming career so far, ready to seize the day. I till and water the soil again so that I can plant the strawberries as soon as I get home. I'm able to afford 54 seeds which will pay for themselves many times over. I start schmoozing with the villagers and taking in the sights as this is the first community event I've attended. I find that Shane is in a much better mood than normal today and he opens up a bit, revealing his love for the chickens on Marnie's ranch. Clint and Linus are just here to enjoy the food, and Pam has spiked the punch with what tastes like Monarch vodka. I guess after the capitalists were overthrown, there was a lot of the stuff still lying around for the taking. I can't fathom why else someone would drink the stuff. Demetrius and I are on the same page with regards to eating eggs, but Harvey is not. George has especially strong feelings on the subject. Realizing this is one of those kinds of parties where you're just going to have the same conversation with different people over and over, I decide to get this show on the road. I tell Lewis I'm ready to participate, secretly hoping that I do well enough to impress Abigail. The children are jumping with excitement, and a little voice in my head says that the right thing to do is to let the kids have their fun and win the competition, but no one voted for that voice, so it is a form of unjustified hierarchy and I disregard it. As soon as the whistle blows, I start sprinting around like Ozzy and Strut, grabbing every egg I can get my hands on. I'm nearly tripping over the children to snatch eggs from their grasp. Whoever hid these eggs did a pretty good job, but I think I did just as well at finding them. When the dust clears, Lewis declares me the winner, shocking everyone including me. I thought I did pretty well, but word on the street was that Abigail is some sort of egg-hunting savant. The mayor presents me with the trophy for winning the competition, a nice straw hat. It will come in handy to avoid sunburn in the coming weeks, as I spend lots of time harvesting strawberries and other crops. With the festival concluded, I head home. The sun has already gone down, so I'm forced to plant my seeds in the dark, but I managed to get them all planted. It's late by the time I'm finished, so I hit the hay. Day 14 starts on a good foot, with the fortune teller revealing my luck will be good today. I happily tend to my new crops, looking forward to the harvest as strawberries are one of my favorite foods. I head into town to donate a small bean and a fish to the community center, as well as make my first few donations to the museum. Gunther, the museum caretaker, gives me some cauliflower seeds as a reward. I realize that it's Haley's birthday, so I invite myself into her home and wait in her living room for an hour until she comes out and give her a flower I found. I head to Pierre's and buy as many seeds as I can afford, which is just 2, and then head to the farm to plant them. The cauliflower will have just enough time to mature before the end of the season, so I get them in the ground right away. They will be worth a lot of labor credits when they are done. I spend the afternoon fishing in the river, catching several smallmouth bass as well as a sunfish I need for the community center. I sell most of the rest of the fish before heading to bed, making a few hundred labor vouchers and increasing my fishing skill again. So that concludes week 2 of my Anarchist playthrough of Stardew Valley. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.